We have a very important figure here, Cosimo Matassa. Yeah. Somebody say Bob French. Cosmo's coming in to wish Dave a happy birthday.
Oh, man.
Well, welcome, Cosmo, to the studio. I'm glad you could
It's
make
my
it.
pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Celebrating.
That's my right arm there.
Celebrating your son Dave's birthday.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What was it like getting all those musicians coming through that studio? You had to have been a very busy man back in that day, huh?
Well, it was a labor of love. Because can you imagine your whole life, your job is to listen to music?
Yeah.
I can't complain about that, man.
That's right. Did you begin actually loading jukeboxes back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Started off from a jukebox business, and after World War II, opened up the studio, and
Yeah.
down the road it went.
Now, how'd you meet Mr. Bartholomew?
By luck.
He didn't meet me. I went to see about him. I met him.
He brought the beginnings of a great career to me and to my place, and I'm he's my best friend.
Yeah.
Does that say it?
In other words, I'd hang around the studio and I'd say, well, anybody coming through, I'll do the arranging. So sure enough, I started the band up, and after I started the band, I was associated with all the best musicians in town that I like. So I went to Cos and said, that's and so and so and so. He said, well, bring him in, we'll work it out. He always was a man to work with you. Whoever would come through, he would always work with them.
Mm-hmm.
So what actually happened, I'd get up in the morning, leave my house, like I'm going to work, hang in the studio all day long. Somebody come through with different things. At that time, the independence had just started. Aladdin, Eddie Mesner out of California. We had Lloyd Price was specialty coming through. I told Kaz, I said, well, specialty come through. In fact, he could tell me what was going on. Aladdin, all those different places, so what actually happened. So I was in Kenner, Louisiana one night, and Lloyd was singing, Lloyd Price. I said, I like this. I said, look, I checked with Kaz. I said, who's coming through next? He said, specialty record, Art Roop.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, okay. So I asked Lloyd to come down. So he started singing. So Kaz said, well, we have to get in the back. In other words, he was singing the records were being sold in the front. Lloyd, oh Lord! I said, no, we got the studio in the back. a little room in the back. So sure enough, we went back there and had a piano. We sat there, and Lloyd started singing different things like that. And said, Lord and Miss Claude, that's what I like. So also set it up. Cos was always, anytime you want to do it, Dave. So we got the Lloyd together. Next thing is history. Nothing but being so.
Now, your work in the studio, I've talked to a couple players who've worked with you, and they say that you run a tight ship. And if you listen to the recordings that you produced of Fats versus some of the other people, there definitely was a tighter recording. It wasn't some of the other stuff like Al Young worked on was real jagged. So can you talk a little bit about your work ethic in the studio?
Well, you keep in mind that I was in the Army, 196 AGF band. And quite natural, I learned an awful lot by being in those different bands. And before that, I was trained by Fats Pishon, who had a regular job on the SEMA Capitol, and that went on for about something like 10, 15 years. I also lived with Claiborne Williams in Donaldsonville, Louisiana as a kid. And they were teaching music to everyone that come along. In other words, you didn't have to have an education. I lived with Claiborne Williams before I got with Fats Pishon. So when the Army come around, things like that, I was there. I stayed in the Army 3 years. 196 AGF was the Army band. Great musicians. Joe Murphy was in there. At that time, he was playing with different bands around New York City. He was a drummer, played xylophone, but he taught drums and all that kind of stuff. If you be playing something and you make a mistake on your horn, he said, man, you ought to tune with it. That's so and so. So I said, what the hell did he do? He knew music. And I surround myself with all those different people. No, I didn't do. Uncle Sam surrounded me with, with good people. And quite naturally, I listened. Keep in mind, I never had a father. I had one on paper. So I had to take advantage of everything. I wanted to take care of my mother and my 3 sisters. And I was fortunate. I got married. This is what I got to do. And I was dedicated. I even called Mr. Matassa on a Christmas. I said, I didn't like what we did night before. There he is.
Yeah, that's right.
I was really interested in my music, because if I didn't have no music, I wasn't going to eat. Mm-hmm. I had a bad habit. I like to eat.
That's great.
A few Sunday mornings, too, don't mind. I don't mind telling you.
It was a work day. I didn't know anything but work. And to get ahead, I was dedicated. When I was in the Army, I'd be downstairs in the rehearsal, just practicing. Different keys like D flat and all that kind of stuff, like body and soul. I just run all over that. But I made myself available for those keys. That's why most of the trumpet players come along, just out in the streets playing B flat and F, that kind of thing, That wasn't with me. So when a job was available, that was it. I played with Jimmy Lunceford at the Rhythm Club. That was it was the second band. It was Duke Ellington, then Jimmy Lunceford. And then keep it in mind, I'm still a child, 17 years old. I sat in with Jimmy Lunceford, he said, well, look, he wants you to play, but you be able to read. I'm not worried. I need that $15 a night he was paying. I stayed with him about 6 weeks. Then I got tired of the road and come back home. So the rest is history. I always there to be with Mr. Matassa, and he never turned me down. I said, well, that's and so we'll try different things. I got a story to tell you about one night. My band got to be very popular, playing Mobile, Alabama. Invited to an after party where musicians get out, So what happened? So we all sitting down and drinking and having fun. This young lady gets up and she said, one thing I ain't never had in my life, one night of sin. I said, wait, what did you say? She said, I never had one night of sin. I said, oh, no. Somebody got paid pencil. I don't forget that. We played in Mobile, Alabama. God is my secret judge. I wrote the title down. Come back, I was in the studio. All that day, trying to get together. I said, I got to get this. I told Mr. Matassa, I said, Cos, I got to have the studio. I got something for Smiley. Smiley Lewis. Smiley went to the top. Quite naturally, I don't know if it was $1 million sellers because, I didn't own the record. I got a low count on it, most likely. But that's how it was born. Now, Elvis got one night out, Witchcraft, 2 or 3 songs. Elvis Presley I'm talking about.
Yeah, we just played the Spiders doing the Witchcraft, I believe. They covered it as well, right? The Spiders?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Witchcraft too, yes. But actually happened one night is the one that made the noise. Mm-hmm. But that's the way that happens. He was always there for me, Mr. Matassa. Went out there, cause I'm coming dusting so and so. Like you said, sometime Sunday.
Now, what was it like putting together these players? I think it's like Red Tyler, Lee Allen, Frank Fields, Earl Palmer, of course, the late great Earl Palmer. You guys had a very powerful battalion of musicians.
Well, like Dr. Jones said, we had a clique of musicians.
Yeah, right.
When I said let's go, I don't know where you want. Yeah, no. I don't know where you get that. They say it was a clique of musicians. Yes, in other words, if you didn't know what else was, you couldn't get in. Yeah. But
I can tell
Dr. Jones said it. I didn't see it.
What it was, he picked the guys who contributed. Some guys come to a session and they sit there with their arms folded and say, tell me what to play. And other guys say, why not this? Why not that? Let's try this. And the difference was the people he picked. Everybody said, let's try this, let's do this, and do another take. Most musicians hate to do another take. These guys, we can do it better. Just do another take. Made a difference, and you can hear it.
I got a question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
Mr. Bartholomew. When you put out My Ding-A-Ling, what was it like back in that day? I would imagine that song didn't get a lot of radio play.
Threw it in the trash can.
Yeah. It's got a nice ring to it.
They wouldn't play it. They said it was suggestive.
It was just about a bell, right?
Well, yeah. But actually, to be frank with you, Mr. Rhodes was a comedian, gave it to me, and I put the music to it. It was a joke. So he called me on the phone and said, Dave, got the #1 tune. You got the #1 tune in Europe. I said, what you talking about? He said, My Ding-A-Ling. I said, what?
Yeah, they can play it over
No
there.
more weenies and hot dogs and all that. No, I don't have to eat them no more right now. Shredded wheat, cornflakes, and milk. No more pork chop. He said, give me some steaks. The next thing I know, 6 months later, said Chuck Berry. Say, well, he wrote the song. He didn't bought my record somewhere. You understand? And I said, one of those kind of things.
So we could hear some music right now.
Yeah.
I just, for those of you wondering, because you can't see what's going on right now,
Listen to me, Candle and E-flat.
You got it.
Torkanowsky's thrown his back out, but he's still going to play the piano, and we got Dave Bartholomew brought his trumpet. So let's.
I would like the honor of Cosimo Matassa putting the mic in front
Yeah,
of me.
can
Yes, indeed.
and Cosmo Matassa is going to be
Ensemble?
mic placement.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
You did it.
Keep it locked right here.
But this happened in the late 50s. In the late 50s, there was that clique that David Bartholomew had and Cosmo had. All those certain musicians, right? And so we used to live like 3-4 doors from each other on Robert Street.
All right.
So they, where you going? I'm going on a recording session. Dave, I said, man, that click sure is something. I got to go, boy. I'm part of him. I don't know about his business. See him 2-3 days. He going out by cars to record. I said, oh man, the clickers, man, y'all, you with that click. So one day, and this is the truth, and he knows it. So one day, Earl Palmer gets up and leaves and flies to Los Angeles, and he's gone. And Dave called me up. Dave said, I got a recording session from you. So well, let me tell you the beginning and then after. Kaz was there. Kaz, my first recording session. What do I know about recording? So Kaz worked wonders, all right? Kaz took a microphone. Everybody should know this. One microphone. Dave has a studio, and he knows the story. One microphone put in the whole studio, and you could hear all the horns, the bass, the guitar, and the drums. So the first take, I forgot what tune it was. We did the tune, and Kaz came out the studio, and he came back to me. He, always gentle like his, and I said, look, you did all right, you played all right, but what you got to do is you got to bang. We ain't got but one mic, so you got to bang. I said, thank you. And so I banged, all right? You remember? And then after the recording session, Mr. Bartholomew said, how you like the click now? I said, the click is happening, I'm in it.
That's true.
That's a true story. What, you got a drummer story?
Yeah.
What, you got a drummer story?
I forget who it was, but
Oh, no,
somebody,
right.
somebody, Dave was doing a session, and he goes over to show the drummer how to hit. You want to hit hard. He takes the stick and bam, and he goes through the top head, the bottom head. His hands went under the snare.
That's studio control.
Yeah, but he showed him.
But when you're eating chitlins all the time, you want to get to that high stuff. So we work like a dog. They talk to us any kind of way. The musicians would come in. I remember one day, Dr. John walked in, and I was in the middle of a session. I said, "Where you going?" You hearing that? No, bye. He still talk about that. I didn't mean any harm, but we were doing our thing. So Dr. John gave us a name, the Click.
That's what it was, dog.
Well, there's a lot of magic happening at OZ, but nothing quite like that. Dave Bartholomew, David Torkanowsky, right here on the New Orleans Music Show. I think we all just almost need a moment of quiet for that. You want to do another cut?
Yeah.
All right.
Ain't no other one.
Body and Soul right here.
Ain't no other one. All the B-flat, look, all the B-flat musicians.
Dave Bartholomew, David Torkanowsky right there doing Body and Soul right here on the New Orleans Music Show. Now, I got a question for you. This is a song that I've loved of yours for a long time.
Okay.
Entitled The Monkey.
Okay.
Talk about that.
One chord. David, come on. The monkey.
Oh, all right.
But later, just give me a F minor. One chord. All the way. Jump, let them jump. One chord, Three monkeys sat in a coconut tree, discussing things that are said to be. Say one to the other, now listen you two. There's a certain rumor that can't be true. That man descended from our noble race, but the very idea is a big disgrace. No monkey ever deserted his wife, starved her baby, and ruined her life. Can I say, yeah, everybody help me. Yeah. One more time. Yeah. Yeah. The monkey speaks his mind. Here's another thing you'll never see. A monkey built a fence around a coconut tree and allow all the coconuts to go to waste, forbidding all monkeys to come and taste. Well, man, if I build a fence around this tree, starvation will force you, and me to steal from me. mine. Yeah. Everybody think that the monkey's crazy. The human race go to work every day and he's sitting up in the damn tree saying, I know, damn fools. I'm in this tree, but they're going to feed me. They got to feed me. The monkey speaks his mind. That's it. Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
The monkey
Thank you,
speaks
man.
his mind.
Appreciate it, Dave. Oh.
WWOZ FM New Orleans. Dave Bartholomew live right here in the studio,
Still, man.
performing one of the most profound songs of the 20th century. Celebrating his birthday this December 24th, Christmas Eve. It's 1:46 in the PM, and there goes the piano. We didn't pay our bill, so they're confiscating it.